Right, buddy, we have some interesting news coming in from Carlos Baleba. We have some reports coming out from Fabrizio Romano. We'll talk about that and Bayern Munich and what that story means for Manchester United, potentially in January, but also in the summer window. We'll be talking the latest on mainly the midfield, Ruben Neves as well. There's been some talks about him, and we'll talk about that. So, let's get into it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it. So, this is what this is what this is what Fabrizio had to say. There's no news on Ruben Neves in terms of negotiations with Manchester. What Manchester United did is to be in touch with the agent who also represents Ruben Neves. They spoke about several players, not just Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves is represented by one of the most powerful agents in the world, but nothing really changed, obviously that being George Mendes. Manchester United can guarantee that even the internal talks at the club have not stopped discussing the name of Carlos Baleba because he's seen as an ideal solution by the club in Amarim. January move is seen as unlikely, but at any moment, if Brian decides to open the doors to an exit for Baleba, Manchester United remain absolutely interested in him. Bayern Munich are not working on a deal for Carlos Baleba. They feel like he wants to stay in England and that he wants to go to Manchester United. So that's huge. I mean, Carlos Baleba, we know last summer United pushed heavily for him. We had the kind of tweet from David Ornstein about Carlos Baleba, and it was kind of interesting to see because no one expected it at the time. Now we knew the price was obviously gonna be a stumbling block, depending on how much they want for him. And I think that's going to be very, very difficult for Manchester United to kind of do anything of that deal. Now, we know kind of Elliot Anderson is the priority. There hasn't really been too much about Adam Wharton, but it's between Baleba and Anderson. Now, remember, going back to August the 6th, Manchester United contact Brighton via intermediary to explore conditions of a deal for Baleba. Brighton did not intend to sell, and all sides of a move may be unrealistic, but Manchester United keen and obviously should know in the coming days. So we know United have an interest in Carlos Baleba, and I think he hasn't had the greatest start to the season in terms of a club level. He's at the African Cup of Nations now with Cameroon, I believe. So hopefully agent and Burmo's getting to work. But I think with Carlos Baleba, we know the quality of player that he is, and he has his personal ambitions to join Manchester United, and I think that will kind of have a big part to play. You look at Semenyo, his personal ambition was never to join Manchester United. It was kind of which club can offer him the most trophies. Whereas you look at Cunha and Burmo, fans of the club, they wanted to join the club. They had other options as well that Spurs and Arsenal and these sorts of clubs were interested. They chose to join the club. Now, what I would say on Baleba, the price would be obviously a huge stumbling block. Do I think anything will happen in January? I don't think so. I think it's too unrealistic. I don't think anything can happen. Potentially, if United push hard in this window, then potentially you can go out and get Baleba. But, I mean, he is an interesting player. We know the quality that he has. He talked about how the pressure's going to get into him. And I think he does want to join United. Now, obviously, you have to look at the age. He is a very, very young player. But again, he's done very well for Brighton. And we know Brighton's recruitment is one of the best. And I think the aim for Manchester United, and what has been in kind of recent years, is to go out and sign someone who's 16, 17, 18, who can go on and be the next Baleba. And I think that's what we've done with players like Sekou Kone, the trust that we're putting in players like Jack Fletcher, Tyler Fletcher, as I said, Sekou Kone, Jim Thwaite, these sorts of players. Christian Orozco, I think, someone that we're going to sign as well. So United are definitely in doing that. But they need a midfielder that's set for now. And I think Carlos Baleba is definitely a priority signing, and I think will massively improve the team. So new talks going on there. Bayern Munich are not going to make a move because they feel like he wants to go to Manchester United. And you look at how imperative he has been for Brighton in the last 3 seasons. He's played 19 games this season, played 40 games last season, and 37 games the season before. And the one good thing about signing Baleba, Prem experience, is something that is vital. He's done very, very good development under Fabian Hertz, and hopefully Ruben Amorim, if he was to kind of have him at the club, would develop him. But again, he is still very early into his career. He had 2 seasons at Lille, or 1 season, really. Played 2 games in the second. Then he went to Brighton. So, again, he is still a young player. Obviously representing Cameroon right now at the African Cup of Nations. But again, the main stumbling block would be the price. And I am kind of interested to see how much the price would be because it would be a lot of money. Apparently, they want Moises Caicedo money for someone like Baleba, which is kind of understandable. I think there is a quality player there. But, yeah, I think it'll certainly be interesting to see what happens. You know, United have an interest in him. It has been for a while. We will have to wait and see what does happen on Baleba. Because I think he is a top player and a quality player. So, yeah, I think Carlos Baleba, Manchester United talks have begun. And yeah, Manchester United obviously want to sign the player. So let's see what happens there. In terms of, there's been a bit of news about Aiden Heaven. He's not going to represent Ghana. He could represent them, but he would be staying when he wants to represent England at senior level. So I thought that was an interesting bit of news there. But yeah, that is the latest news. Ruben Neves, there's no talks about him at the moment. It's just mainly Carlos Baleba. They remain in contact with the people close. Internally, they really want him. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, the main sort of story of the day. Obviously, Harry Maguire, talked about a bit about him yesterday. He is close to a return. Harry Maguire is training with the on grass doing individual work, so hopefully can have him in a few weeks. But it would be interesting to see what happens when Maguire does come back into the team, because does he start over Aiden Heaven, who's been very, very good? If we play a back five, I'm assuming Maguire comes back into the team. What happens when De Ligt comes back? So there is a good dilemma there. I think when you're picking good players to drop, I think that's always a good dilemma and a good problem to have. Right now, we're debating whether Aiden Heaven should be starting, Lisandro Martinez, you've got Euro there. So these are good options, and it's good to have players back. When good players are doing well and when everyone's doing well, United are happy. We kept a clean sheet. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. But that has been your latest update. Carlos Baleba talks begin. We knew United have a heavy interest in signing him. They've been linked with him for quite a while. Internal talks are going on. He does want to go to Manchester United and does not want to go to Bayern Munich. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you at 7 p.m. where we will be previewing the game against Wolves. I think that's a very, very big game for Manchester United. We know we beat them 4-1, but again, it's going to be very difficult to kind of see how that games go. But yeah, potentially something exciting coming up as well in the next few days. So let me know your thoughts on the latest news, and we keep you up to date on the channel. Thank you for watching. Peace.